They say they want to change. They say they want to be in a different situation. But there's not a lot of people who will use their rest time, right? Their vacation time to go out and try a new business. And so,
went in it my first week going all in. I made my monthly salary in 1 week. So I was
in
like,
1 week?
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do insurance. So
I see a lot of people hesitate is they're afraid to get out there and talk to people. They're afraid they're afraid that they don't know everything, and because of that, they don't want to get out there and talk to people about Medicare.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Medicare Agent IQ. I'm Raul Gonzalez.
And I'm Oscar Ibieta.
And we have a guest today, Alex Esparza.
how's it going, guys? Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Alex is an agent in our downline who has been doing this since
2021.
2021.
Where are we now? I don't even know what year it is. 2026?
26.
Okay. Yeah, so Alex, I would love for you, just real quick, you've been a successful agent and you've been doing this now for 5 years, and I guess you've been licensed for 6?
Correct.
Okay, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's kind of go back to the origin story of how you got here. I think there's a really cool story in here about. So tell us before you even got your life insurance license or your life and health license, what were you doing?
Okay, so I was a FedEx delivery driver for 12 years. So I did that for 12 years. And, you just you get to a point where, you want more for yourself, right? And at that time, I just had a son, so I wanted to give him more than what I was given at that time. So initially, it wasn't insurance; it was real estate, because at that time my mom was a real estate agent. So I went and got my real estate license, then realized that it takes 30, 60 days, 90 days even for closing and get paid. I was like, well, I'm trying to leave FedEx. I need something quicker than that. And then I ran into my buddy and he was doing insurance. I had no idea that was even a thing. I didn't know you could sell insurance. So I went ahead and got my life insurance license, and kind of tippy-toed going into it. And vacation bidding was coming up at FedEx. And so decided hey, this is my opportunity to see if I can do this. So I put all my weeks in, and then went in it. My first week going all in, I made my monthly salary in 1 week. So I was
1 week?
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm gonna do insurance. So that's how it started. So then. And then slowly, that kind of fades away. It's a high at first, and it kind of fades away. And then, like I said, I had a son, and I wanted to plan to be there as he got older for, baseball, football, whatever activities he's going to do. And I knew that if I didn't sell life insurance, I don't get paid. So then I was looking into the renewals and how I can do this. And I didn't want to build a life insurance team. That's not something I wanted to do at that time. And then, fast forward about 7-8 months, it was about the fall, and I was running into a lot of Medicare situations. So I've known Oscar more than half my life, so I would start feeding him these leads. And then he was just like, hey, why don't you just add Medicare to your life insurance business? A month later, went and took my life and health license, got it, and I've been doing Medicare since 2021.
That is awesome.
And I want to highlight something there too, right? That kind of looking at the timeline, and when we look back the last 5 or 6 years, this is in the middle of 2020, right? Remember 2020, that's the pandemic.
You came into it during
the pandemic.
It was during the pandemic, right? And I think it's cool that you took the chance, that you saw an opportunity, and in a time where most people were either just kind of taking a step back in anything that they may have been doing, you were stepping out of your comfort zone and saying, all right, I'm gonna take a chance here. And so what you did, right? Let's recap this. You looked to see how much PTO do I have with FedEx, and you said, I'm gonna take all of this PTO, and instead of planning my next vacation or my next whatever it may be, you said, I'm gonna use this window of PTO to take a chance on this new business venture, right? Which at the time was selling life insurance only. So you had your life only license, and then that's where you were running it. Fast forward a few months down the road, you were running into a bunch of Medicare leads. You were sending them to me, and I just said, Alex, why don't you just write this yourself, man? Why don't you just do this yourself? And so, again, you said, okay, let's take a chance here. And so you ended up getting your life and health license, which is something you need to do Medicare. And then you jumped into the Medicare piece. And what I loved most about your journey into Medicare is where I see a lot of people hesitate is they're afraid to get out there and talk to people. They're afraid they're afraid that they don't know everything. And because of that, they don't want to get out there and talk to people about Medicare. With you, you were like, all right, I got my license. I did my AHIP. My certifications are done. I have a book of business with life insurance. So let me start calling these people and setting up plan reviews, for their Medicare. And really, you didn't have. I mean, obviously, we did training and we did all of those things, but it just most people, I think that's where they get stuck. Is they get the certifications, they've got the licenses, but they just don't feel comfortable enough to get out there. And you, from the very beginning, you were just willing to just get out there and get in front of people and start talking to people. So
I want to talk about the hustle mentality. Like, there's a lot of people out there, and they say they want to change. They say they want to be in a different situation. But there's not a lot of people who will use their rest time, right, their vacation time to go out and try a new business. And so that, to me, it says a lot about, like, it should speak to other people. Like, any situation that you're in, like, if you're willing to put yourself out there and go out there and give something a try, instead of, oh, well, I really wanted to take that vacation, I really wanted to spend time away. So to me, that's a really cool story.
Yeah, I was trying to think ahead and plan for future. So yeah, that's what I'm glad I took the jump.
Yeah, that's awesome. Walk me through your first 90 days. Okay, let's go back real quick. So when you were working in life insurance, how did you get those sales?
Just bought leads. I mean, that's all I knew what to do. So I just invested into leads, and that's how I was able to acquire a lot of my sales during life insurance.
Okay, so just like the mail order leads, those types of things?
Mail orders, internet leads, Facebook, whatever I could get my hands on.
So you had to have money put away to start then also, in addition to having the vacation time that you needed to have. You had some money put away?
I had to have some money to invest in it first. Luckily, I have a nice wife that was able to help me out and invest, that believed in me and said and was behind me on doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you bought leads, and so in the first 90 days, or when did you? So you mentioned a week vacation, but it was longer than that, right?
Yeah. So I was with FedEx for 12 years, so I had 4 to 5 weeks of PTO. So I took all of it. And then I went
4 or 5 weeks straight.
Yeah, I took 4 or 5 weeks straight, and went all in. And I just got a high from it. I was just addicted to it because I was like, man, I can do this. I was so scared of taking the step or that jump, right, that everybody says to take. And I was happy that I did, because I didn't believe in myself. And then when I finally said, I'm going to do this, it worked out.
That's cool. That's cool. So in the first 90 days then, or did you immediately go in and quit when you got back, or tell me, how did that go?
So that's a funny story in itself.
Yeah.
So I show up back to work, and my boss sees me, and I'm like, hey, good morning. He's like, so when are you quitting? And I was like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, well, you don't take all your vacation at one time for no reason. I was like, yeah, do you got about 10 minutes? So I went to his office, and I told him, yes, I'm going to put my 2 weeks in. So he's like, what are you doing? So I tell him, and he was like, well, I wish you the best of luck. And at that time, people were like, oh, you're going to come back. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And but it was hard, because what helped me go is, I didn't want to fail my family. That was for one. So my back was up against the wall, and I didn't want to go back to FedEx. I didn't want to go back and prove them right, that they were right the entire time. So I had a lot against me, and I was willing to do whatever it took to be successful.
It's funny you say that. So when I was working at a company also, and I left to start the company that we own now, I I heard from my previous coworkers, they would call me and say, hey, that there's someone in management going around to every single person and saying, hey, just so you know, a lot of people when they leave here, they end up, selling cars. They're like, so they're like really trying to discourage, and that's what you'll see a lot of times in the corporate world is they want to discourage people from going out and starting their own thing and saying, there's no way you're going to make it, and they're trying to put that doubt in you to maybe get you to change your mind, or even more important to their business is put that doubt in everybody else's mind, so that way they can keep everyone else from leaving. They're like, well, who's gonna work here if everyone goes off and does this? And so what they're hoping to is put enough doubt in enough minds to keep people right.
I mean, even though those are the things that were a little bit scary, I feel like those are also your motivators, right? I've got to make sure that I take care of my family. I got to prove all of these people wrong, right? And so you had a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, and everybody has different things that motivate them, that they're motivated by. And so I think the important thing here is just understanding what is my why, right? It's so cliche to say that, and we hear that all the time, but I think it's a very real thing, right? What are the reasons? What is it that you want? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And if it's, if you are not changing the things that you're doing and you're not changing the habits, like your current habits, then you're going to be in the same place, 5 years from now. And so it's always, continually growing. And so in your particular case, right, you're like, okay, I've been here for 12 years. It's probably going to be the same 5 years from now, and you decided that you wanted to make that change, and so you took a chance, and obviously it's paid off. But you understood, like, I can't just take this chance and it's just going to magically happen for me. Like, I have to get out there and get after it.
You know what? I want to go back something though, because there are people who do this. They'll leave their job and then they don't make it. So there's something you're saying there also. Like there are, so maybe a big part of that too is there are people that will leave their job and they're not fully motivated. They don't do all the things that someone like yourself would do. And instead of going out and hustling, they end up watching Judge Judy. They're, like they don't have that discipline to get out there. So there's a certain amount of discipline that comes with taking that risk as well that clearly you had. So I want to jump a little bit forward now. And so tell me, I know you have well over 500 clients, and that is how do you keep up with all the customer service out of curiosity? What's your strategy for that?
Before this year, it was doing everything manually. I would send out mail, follow up with text messages, phone calls, touch base. And then this year, I slowly turned into CRM, and that's worked out wonderful for me. It's helped my life a little bit better. I am going to slowly now get into an assistant that'll help me progress everything and get phone calls and text messages and emails, all the stuff that takes away from me trying to grow. Now I'm going to get that help going on.
You can't write the new business if you're over here having to do all that. So a big part of what you do, you said you use a CRM just for regular follow up, just for for the client to feel like it's you texting them to check in, but it's your automation that you have set up.
Things like birthday texts, follow-up texts about our appointment, like, hey, 3-month checkup or 1-month checkup, just things like that, so they know that I'm there. I didn't just make a sell and leave.
Yeah, because that's when you lose those clients, right? And the whole reason that we're in this business is for renewals. And so if you're not able to keep them because they're going out the back door, this is your CRM's helping you with that. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So I want to just get to know a little bit about what your routine looks like preparing for AEP. So, AEP is is October 15th, mm-hmm. right? When do you start preparing? When are you starting to think about AEP?
January, to be honest with you. Start building a pipeline, because if you can't make that sell during the year, you keep them in the pipeline, be relevant, because you can't just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to call you later. You have to stay relevant with them, whether it be mail, small text, a birthday text. How's that? Just a simple check-in is going to keep you relevant with them. And then as it gets closer to AEP, that's when you start following up a little bit harder as far as open enrollment comes. But I start January, to be honest with you. If I can't make that sell, I'm going to keep trying throughout the year to make that sell. Okay. And then eventually open enrollment comes.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say one thing you also do that you do really well, and again, I know we have a lot of people listening who are just telesales or who sell in multiple states. We have other agents who do, grassroots where they're selling to their local market and whatnot. But one of your biggest strengths that I want to highlight is you prepare when the carriers start talking about, you get the sneak peeks in the summer, and then later in the summer you get more information on what their benefits are going to look like in certain markets. And so especially in this time, as turbulent as the industry is, we're seeing a lot of SARs, right? A lot of companies implementing the service area reductions where maybe carriers are pulling out of markets and other carriers are maybe expanding into new markets. You really kind of hone in on those things and you're looking, okay, where is there opportunity? And so you go out and look for the opportunities and you kind of build your strategies around that versus just kind of saying, okay, well, this is where I live and whatever happens in my particular market, this is where I gotta figure out a way to be successful. You are willing to, get on the phone with people. You're willing to, even drive to the more rural areas to find that business and have those successful AEP campaigns. But I know you said it starts in January, but even in the summertime, I think you do a great job of building strategies around, where are these carriers expanding or where are they pulling out of? And those are where the opportunities, where you're going to find those too.
So do you look at the sneak peek and then start to kind of memorize what you're seeing? Is that?
Yeah, I kind of, when the sneak peeks start coming out, I start adjusting to where my current clients are first, right? Because I want to see what's going on in their county, what's going on. And then I start looking at counties I'm not so relevant in, and then I kind of see if there was changes and see if I can do something out there and plan something to be successful in a county that I'm not relevant in. So I definitely look at all the changes that go on all the time.
So you're doing your homework.
Definitely do my homework.
Like, and that's a big thing. I think a lot of agents just kind of sit around and wait kind of in a what's next type of thing. And I think the approach should be you've got to be very proactive in doing the homework and understanding whatever market it is that you want to target. Make sure that you're well versed in it.
Yeah, I think the strategy, for everyone listening, is for people who concentrate on a local market. But when you're looking through it, and he mentioned earlier, like if you see that there's a service area reduction, are you moving out? And are you planning on, okay, I've got to make sure to plant a flag in this market, or are you looking at the different counties?
Definitely, especially with market exits. Maybe a plan is losing dental, or their grocery benefit is decreasing. Just things like that. I'm looking at every small detail that I could use to my advantage going into open enrollment.
So that way, if you're sitting in front of somebody, or you're working like a retail spot or doing something in that way, if someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I have this plan," you would immediately fire back with, "Oh, did you notice that this benefit's gone?" Or is that?
Absolutely. So I really hone in on going back to it, the benefits. So I'll sit there in the living room and I'll just start reading the changes. So that way, when I'm in retail or I run into somebody at an event, they tell me a certain plan. I already know what they're gaining, they're losing, and what another plan is gaining or losing to kind of counteract with each other.
Okay.
And product knowledge, right? That's a big part of it. And again, you get the training, you get the certifications, but you're out in the field and you're stuck. Or if you just can't figure out how to convert, or why am I not able to kind of close some of these sales? I think if you're not up to speed with the products, right? What are they now, and what are they looking like if we're talking AEP, right? What are they looking like for next year? You have to have the ability. You have to know what you don't need to have them memorized, right? But think about the larger carriers, the main players who dominates those markets, and understand, what are their good plans, what plans are strong in those markets, and understanding what are the strong points in those particular plans and what are the weaknesses in those points and what's changing. So that way it allows you, like you said, right, to position yourself when you're talking to people. As somebody comes up and you're ready to fire off, the next line in a conversation, rather than, oh, let me look at that card. Okay, let me look up your plan. Let me look up the benefits. I mean, can it be done that way, and can you convert? Yes, but it just makes you look so much
You look more credible.
Yes, and you look like the expert, right? You're like, this guy really knows what he's talking about, and really, you're just doing your homework.
It's like, I guess, a sports approach, right? You got to go up to bat. You got to study the pitcher's tendencies going into something, because you don't want to go in there blind. Yeah, you could wait one at bat and see what he does, or you could prepare for that pitcher and what he does and his tendencies, so he can be successful at that at bat.
Love it. Let me ask you some questions real quick that I feel like would be really important if I'm a newer agent, if I was kind of just starting out. Actually, let's go back. If you were starting today, like, again, you didn't do the final expense before, you didn't do any of these other things, but if you were starting today, if you were an agent, what would be things that you do in the first week and in the first month?
Yeah. So what I'm telling my agents now is start with your inner sphere. Start with, family, friends, get out there. You have everybody's got some kind of community going on, and then get just, any kind of income you get from those sales, build up your business, and then reinvest into your business, whether it be events, direct mail leads, things like that. So start there. That way you're not, have a good standing foundation, because your family's going to tell their family and friends and senior centers. So telling everybody, you start with their inner sphere for sure.
Nice. Hey, real quick, does direct mail still work?
Yes, if your follow-up is good. If your follow-up is great,
okay,
direct mail works.
Let's talk about that. We've got a little bit more time to talk about follow-up. So what does your follow-up look like? You're doing mail order leads. What would how many times do you call? Is it? I will tell you that there are times where we've given agents leads, and I'd ask them, hey, how did it go? Oh man, they didn't answer. They didn't call me back. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, how many times did you call them? Oh, when you gave me the lead. And it's like, man, that's one of the biggest frustrations that I have, right? So tell me what that looks like for you. How are you calling leads?
So these individuals are filling out something, right, a direct mail lead, and they're mailing it back, right? So essentially, they took the time to fill it out and mail it out. So I know they're getting a bunch of phone calls. So I'll call first time once, twice, at different times of the day, a text message. But what's worked lately is a voicemail. I leave a voicemail. I don't say what I'm doing. I mention my name. I said, I'd love to get your opinion on something. Please give me a call back at such and such and such. And in this day and age, everybody likes to give their opinion, right? They use their social media platform to give an opinion. And me personally, I feel like seniors like to give their more of their opinion, just because they're baby boomers. They grew up in a different time. So back in my day, things were like this. So if they get a voicemail and they want to give their opinion, they hear something about giving their opinion, they're more than likely to call. And my callbacks have been a lot higher. Okay.
So to not be a liar, what's the opinion you asked for?
The lead. I was like, what did you think of the direct mail lead? Was it pretty straightforward of why you filled this out? And then let them speak on the mail lead. Okay, I have you on the phone before I let you go. When you filled out that lead, what is one of those things that intrigued you about filling that out? And that's how I get them to start talking. And then I just use what they're saying to help them.
That is gold. Yeah. Did you learn that from someone else, or did you
just practice? Just kind of figured out what works, and
trial and error.
Yeah, trial and error. That's all it is.
That is great, man.
Yeah, and I love that you said, you mentioned, right, you're trying them at different times of the day, and you kind of combed over that, but I want to come back to that, right? I feel like this is one of the biggest mistakes that agents make. We're talking about follow-up, right? They're only calling once or twice, but I love that you said, trying in the morning, and if they're not answering in the morning, you're trying again in the afternoon, or you're trying different times of the week. I know early on you were even working weekends, right? Because what was it, like on Sundays was probably like a day that people were, the probability of them answering, that the odds were much higher, and I love that too, right? I love the fact that you were willing, especially early on, right? I don't think you really were. You're not really selling insurance on the weekends anymore, right? But early on you were. Yeah. And I think we all have a story to tell when it comes to that. We're willing to put in that extra work. Even me, I had, when I first got into the business, excuse me, when I first got into the business, I was selling, Medicare, but I was also working a part-time job on the weekends. And so I was willing to put in that extra work just to kind of stay afloat and make sure that the bills were paid. I had that consistent income. So again, working the part-time job, in your case, right, you were willing to work on the Sunday. And that's not the message, right? We're not telling everybody, work on a Sunday, but I think it's the main message here is the ability to follow up and be consistent with those follow-ups. I think one time we were in conversation and you said, a lead's not dead until they say no, right? And so if they haven't answered, if you leave that voicemail the way you said you do, and I need your opinion, like, what are you doing with the folks what if they don't answer? Right? Or do you just dismiss that lead and you just throw it away and you move on? Or what do your processes look like with the leads that you haven't been able to get a hold of?
A lead's not dead until they tell me no.
So you keep calling.
And even then, when they tell me no, it's no today. It's not no 3 months from now. But I keep calling. Eventually they're going to be like, who is this person that keeps calling me? So I definitely try in the morning. The afternoon, not so much, because they are getting pretty bombarded. But the evening time is between 6 and 7, because they already had dinner, they're already chilling out, they're on the couch, and then Sundays if I have to.
Sure. Right.
So
yeah, there was a quote I was looking for right now where it says that like 90% of agents only call one time, and then but 10% of the agents do like 90% of the sales in large corporations when it comes to sales. And it's because those agents who are willing to make those extra calls, willing to do that follow-up are the ones that actually make the sales. So that is, I think, as long as I've known you, one of the things that separates you from other people is that your willingness to continue to call. We will, on the next podcast, we're going to jump into how you actually, we're gonna do some role play and some mock calls, so that way people can see like, hey, this is what I'm saying, because I think that, again, like hey, I was trying to get your opinion on something. To me, that is excellent. And so if agents can hear that, get more advice, and I think it'll go a long way. Before I move on, I have one other question for you. What's one piece of advice that you'd give to your first year self?
Definitely don't get discouraged, because in sales you're going to get more no's than you are yeses. So don't get discouraged, and then follow up. Don't give up just because they're not answering. Doesn't mean they don't want the help. They're just don't give up. That's all I can say is don't give up and follow up on your calls.
I love it. Okay, so again, next we're gonna take a break basically, and when you come back next week, even though we'll still be here, when you come back next week, we will be doing the role play. So make sure you come back, listen next week, and share with your friends. So until next time, thanks so much for listening to Medicare Agent IQ.